Donald Trump is indicted by a court in New York. A Florida school thinks Michelangelo's David is pornographic. And a Twitter user stands trial over memes. And more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in Manhattan, making him the first ex-president formally charged with a crime. This indictment has nothing to do with Russia collusion, which there was ultimately no evidence for, or the insurrection on January 6, 2021, which the FBI later confirmed was not actually an insurrection, or the documents the FBI found at Mar-a-Lago, which, well, it happened to Joe Biden too, so I guess it could happen to anyone. No, this Manhattan indictment is related to money that Trump's lawyer paid a former porn actress who claimed she had sex with Trump in 2006 while he was married to Melania. The sex, if true, is not illegal, but prosecutors persuaded a grand jury to charge that Trump's method of repaying his lawyer was illegal because it might have violated state campaign finance laws or falsified business records. Trump posted on Truth Social that he can't get a fair trial in New York. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he won't help New York extradite Trump, saying the charges against Trump are purely political, which would be a courageous, loyal stance to take if it mattered, but it doesn't, because Trump is expected to simply show up at court next week in New York of his own accord. And the good news for Trump is that he can still run for president in 2024, even after being indicted. Turns out there's no law against that. And some of Trump's advisors even think the indictment could be a good thing for his campaign. I don't know what crazy timeline we're living in, but sometimes I wish it was a simpler one, where the thing Trump is most famous for is his brief cameo in Home Alone 2. A museum of failure has opened in Brooklyn, New York. It features ideas from businesses that, well, failed, such as Google Glass, for instance. While it showcases ideas that didn't work out, it's not mocking them. It's intended to teach that failure is a part of life and needed in order to innovate. While this is a cute idea, it's kind of redundant, considering all the talentless actors, artists, comedians, improvisers, and DJs living there. Brooklyn itself is already a 70-square-mile museum of failure. Speaking of homes to countless failures, California. California has received record-setting rainfall after being hit with 12 consecutive storms and is bracing itself for even more. Wait, California is soaking wet right now? The same California that bursts into flames anytime someone takes a bite of a flaming hot Cheeto? Oh, I get it. This is an April Fool's joke. Nice try. What's that, Shelley? Oh, it is true. And California has received so much rainfall that its governor, Gavin Newsom, actually eased drought restrictions. He said, "As we welcome this relief from the drought, we must remain focused on continuing our all-of-the-above approach to future-proofing California's water supply." Makes sense. Can't get too comfortable, California. Because as wet as it is right now, it'll dry up eventually, and then it'll be gender reveal season again. Geek, the owner of Pornhub and several other adult sites, was sold to private equity firm Ethical Capital Partners, or ECP. ECP claims to seek out investment and advisory opportunities in industries that require principled ethical leadership. What do you mean Pornhub requires ethical leadership? If watching Boogie Nights taught me anything, it's that the porn industry is as wholesome as it gets. Actually, MindGeek could probably use some principled leadership because its CEO and COO abruptly resigned last summer. And MindGeek is in the middle of multiple lawsuits alleging it profited from child sexual exploitation and human trafficking. So ECP is stepping in to help a troubled industry out of the goodness of their own hearts. Not exactly. The whole point of private equity is to buy a company and figure out how to make it more profitable. Now, it is possible to be ethical and make a profit. But good luck trying to be ethical while profiting from an industry rife with human trafficking and child exploitation. It's like trying to stay vegan while winning a hot dog eating contest. But who knows? Maybe they'll be able to silence the critics and make the adult entertainment industry more ethical. And maybe they'll even be able to make it profitable. I'm doubtful about the latter, though, because every guy I've asked about Pornhub in front of his wife while researching this story swore he never watches it. I'm too busy transcribing Bibles into Braille. I'm a good boy. Speaking of things deemed pornographic, a Florida principal was forced to resign after parents complained that a lesson to sixth graders featuring Michelangelo's David was pornographic. And yes, this was a plot point from a 1990 episode of The Simpsons. That show is so good at predicting the future that I'm starting to think the winner of the 2024 presidential election is going to be Lisa Simpson. Word of this made it all the way to Italy. The director of Galleria dell'Accademia in Florence, where the David is housed, said, "Talking about the Renaissance without showing the David, an undisputed icon of art and culture, and of that historical period, would make no sense." They also invited the students and teachers from the school to visit the museum to see that the David is not pornographic. I have to say I agree. While the David is naked, it's not sexualized in any way. It's based on David from David and Goliath, a story from the Bible. But if for some reason it really is pornographic, then ECP can come in and at least make it ethical. And after the break, AOC says TikTok shouldn't be banned. Welcome back. Congress is considering banning TikTok in America. I've covered this extensively on my other channel, China Uncensored. Links below. Now, banning TikTok is a scary concept for Gen Zers and millennials. Millennials like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She posted a video on her Twitter account saying she believes TikTok shouldn't be banned.
Do I believe TikTok should be banned? No. And I can tell you that Congress has not received a classified briefing around the allegations of national security risks regarding TikTok. So why would we be proposing a ban regarding such a significant issue without being clued in on this at all? It just doesn't feel right to me.
That's right. She's defending TikTok on Twitter. The only bigger dumpster fire of a social media app. It's like defending cocaine while doing crack. Although Twitter is actually more like cocaine, since Coke and Twitter both give people unearned confidence and make them share their horrible ideas with strangers while they're in a bathroom. AOC's defense of TikTok was criticized after it was revealed TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, donated $150,000 each to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. Incidentally, AOC is a member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute Advisory Council. Assume it was easy for ByteDance to find where exactly to donate that money since TikTok has all of her data. Now, this doesn't prove that AOC took any ByteDance money directly or even indirectly. But these donations were made only a few months ago, and now AOC is defending TikTok. Say, would you look at that? It's suspicious o'clock. There are a lot of issues with social media that go way beyond TikTok. Data theft, misinformation, and apparently, voter suppression. At least, that's what the Department of Justice is trying to prove. In 2021, they arrested Douglas Mackey, better known by his pro-Trump Twitter troll personality, Ricky Vaughn. The DOJ claims Mackey led a disinformation campaign during the 2016 election to prevent black citizens from voting. Mackey is now on trial, facing up to 10 years in prison. This centers around him and alleged co-conspirators spreading memes such as this one that encouraged people to vote by text instead of in line or by mail. Mackey had multiple Twitter accounts and was suspended from the platform. His lawyers argue that these memes were not part of a grand plan and he was just trolling. It's going to be really hard to prove this was a coordinated attack on the voting rights of black Americans and not just a prank. If he's found guilty, are they going to start rounding up everyone who pulls terrible pranks from now on? That would wipe out like half of the channels on YouTube. Tempting, I know. But the prosecution argued that this was an attempt to keep people from voting because the number was real and set up to receive incoming messages. The release of these fake campaign ads was timed to flood the internet before Election Day. Mackey is being charged with conspiracy against rights, a law passed in 1871 intended to stop the Ku Klux Klan from intimidating black voters. Wait, is the prosecution going to try and argue that burning crosses was basically just a meme? Since when have memes been symbols of hate? That actually isn't rhetorical. The answer is 2016 with Pepe, the cartoon frog. Yes, this is real. Pepe was actually labeled as a hate symbol by the Anti-Defamation League. While at the same time, when we traveled to Hong Kong in 2019, we learned that Pepe was used there by Hong Kong protesters as a symbol of freedom. So he's a hateful symbol of freedom, or a free symbol of hate. We're living in the dumbest timeline. Mackey's attorney spoke about the effect this case could have on freedom of speech, saying, if the government's theory prevails in this case and ultimately the government is successful in prosecuting Douglas Mackey, the First Amendment right of all Americans are potentially implicated because, depending on the administration in power, the precedent can be used to chill or undermine the constitutional rights of anyone if they have a political view that differs from those that are in power. And as a reminder, this is all centered around a prank, or potentially a nefarious master plan to trick people into trying to vote by text. It's appropriate this trial is taking place in Brooklyn because if you actually believe that you could suddenly vote by text based solely on something you only saw on some random internet site, you shouldn't be contacting the Department of Justice. You should be contacting the Museum of Failure and tell them to exhibit wherever you went to school because they clearly failed their students to a noteworthy degree. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Leave your comments below. And if you want to help us deliver nonpartisan news, be sure to support America Uncovered by going to patreon.com/America Uncovered. All it takes is as little as $1 or more per episode to fight YouTube censorship and demonetization. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.